Hello and welcome to Legally Speaking with me, Tarun Nangia. Today we're going to discuss a topic which is much in demand, that is of GST. What are the practical issues in GST? We are going to do an explainer today with somebody who does a lot of these cases. I want to welcome Advocate Aditya Asgaonkar. Good to see you again, Aditya.
Hi, thank you, Tarun.
And we are on a subject of your choice again, GST. A lot of cases that you do on that.
Quite a few.
And could you sort of take us through the GST in terms of particular topics today? For example, the appellate authority not having the power to condone delay beyond a certain period.
Right.
This is something that a lot of people would like to know.
Right.
Could we start with that today?
So the difficulty that I see a lot of people having in GST is that once an order is passed, an order in original as it is called, the assessment is done, you usually get around 3 months to file an appeal.
3 months.
3 months. Now, if you have a proper justified reason for delay, that period can be extended by 1 month. The delay can be condoned by the appellate commissioner.
Okay.
But if it is even 1 day beyond that 1 month, he has no power.
He himself has no power.
No power at all. It does not matter whether the further delay is justified or not.
Okay.
So today, suppose I am extremely sick, I am hospitalized, I still cannot get the delay condoned beyond that from the authority that has, because it has no power to condone beyond that, right? And the problem is, the order in original sometimes comes through mail. The order in original nowadays also comes through email sometimes.
Yes.
And as per the rules, the order in original has to be uploaded online in the form of a summary called DRC07, right? Any one of these three is good service. Now, there are a lot of high courts taking a lot of views on what constitutes service, but a second delivery is affected, service is done, your 3-month period starts.
Okay.
Right? And 3 months plus 1 becomes extremely narrow for a lot of people. Now what happens is there are GST deadlines, there are income tax deadlines. Sometimes you will coordinate with your consultant, sometimes you may be outside the country. A whole lot of reasons may happen. We are not getting into whether it is justified or not, right? That is for the commissioner to decide. But I feel somehow that why would you tie the hands of a commissioner from doing justice by fit and deserving cases? Why not give more than a month?
So, Aditya, I want to know from you, a lot of improvements have been made to GST.
Yes.
What improvement would you like to suggest in the background of what you have just said?
So, there is one more thing that we have to consider. The department, if there is any, thing that, any determination that happens that it's not been dealt with properly, department gets 6 months to appeal.
Okay.
And that delay also can be condoned by 1 month after that.
6 plus 1, 7.
7. So, department getting 6 months and assessee getting 3 months. I think somehow there should be a system in place where, according to me, though I don't think there is anything wrong in the act per se, but I'm saying in the interest of justice, why not empower the bureaucracy to condone delay when a proper justification is given in fit deserving cases?
Okay.
Right? Because GST is about ease of doing business. See, and it has revolutionized the tax system, right? We had so many different taxes across the country. It puts it all under one umbrella, and it does a fantastic job of making sure that people have to comply only with one set of rules, right? One set of acts for all the indirect tax needs. But if we are doing this, why not give the power to the commissioner to condone it beyond 1 month? As of today, the problem is that if I have delayed beyond a month, my only option is a writ petition in a high court.
That's all.
That's my only option because they have powers under the constitution to actually do justice in fit cases.
So, do you think the GST law will have to be amended by Parliament for anything of this to change?
Yes, because it is in the Act. Section 107 of the GST
so
Act.
His hands are tied.
Hands are tied. As of today, if those hands get untied, I'm not saying that the delay necessarily should be condoned. But if there is a fit case, I think it should happen. It will greatly make the burden, the running clock less. That if I am sick, if there is some genuine problem, death in the family, anything happens, I should get the option of at least asking the commissioner to get the delay condoned.
So
beyond
what
a
you're
month.
saying, if his hands are himself tied, then how can he help? He'll say, I can't.
I
By
don't
law,
have the
I
power.
can't. Okay. Fair point. So basically, this is something that must be considered by the lawmakers in your view.
Correct.
Point number two, now there is a lot of talk that when states and center both assess the same subject matter, obviously there is duplication of documents and everything that happens. What would you like to reflect? Would you reflect on this? And what is the solution to this?
Correct. So I think what you're talking
The
about
state GST,
is,
center
yes.
GST.
So what happens is this has been just decided by the Supreme Court. I think it's a fantastic order that has come out in the case of armor security. Justice Pardiwal and Justice Mahadevan have passed it. And I think it is the rule book on that section 62B, which basically says that if proceedings on a subject matter are taken by either the center or the state or the union territory GST, then the counterpart will not take it. Now what happens in GST is if an assessment is done, an assessment is basically to determine your liability. If the exercise of determining your liability is done by an officer of the state GST, he not only determines your SGST, state GST liability, but he also determines your central GST liability. And if the same thing is done by the center also determines the center and the state GST liability. So it doesn't matter who assesses, center or state. They pass an order determining liability under both the acts. In that case, if the center has already initiated action or passed an order, and if the state takes it or vice versa, then it's duplication of effort. It is also duplication of proceedings. The taxpayer will have to run from pillar to post. So 62B exists to say that if a proceeding on a certain subject matter are taken by one of the authorities, then the other authority will not basically assume jurisdiction on it. And the board has come up with a lot of circulars and directions on this, right? Because they are very cognizant of the fact that this can happen. It is still happening.
Okay.
Unfortunately, on ground, it still happens for a variety of reasons. So this armor security judgment is a game changer. It not only explains the law, it also gives very, very specific directions that if you initiate action or if you want to take action, then center and state should coordinate with each other. See, GST is very new. We've always had a state list or a central list when it came to taxes, right? Now here you have two different authorities with the power under the same issue, right? GST. They're doing pretty much the same thing. So how do you ask one person that, listen, if this person assumes jurisdiction, then the other person should not? This works by the court saying that if one authority issues you a show cause notice. Now, show cause notice is basically in the form DRC 01. If that notice is issued by the center or by the state, then its counterpart will not take up proceedings.
Point well taken.
But it doesn't apply to summons.
Okay.
So if the center issues you a summon, the state can still take out a show cause notice and vice versa.
Okay.
If one of them audits your books and intelligence is found that there is an evasion or 74, 73, some shortfall in payment, even then one of them can issue a DRC 01. So it is not necessarily the person who's gathered that intelligence that they will assume jurisdiction. The thing is now then it comes down to fastest finger first. Who issues that
First.
Then
that's leaving too much to chance.
One way or the other, it is going to get assessed. See, there is no question.
But we just don't want dual assessment.
Yes, we don't want dual assessment. Either one should assess me or the other.
Is this a department decision or now also a law amendment required here?
No, there is the law is already clear. Unfortunately, what was happening is a lot of the officers, there was no clarity as to what constitutes proceedings. The word proceeding was not defined. The question is whether if I do investigation against you, is that a proceeding? Does the proceeding start there? Or if I issue you a summon, is that a proceeding? Or if I issue you a show cause, is that a proceeding? The question was what constitutes a proceeding? Now this armored security judgment, fantastic judgment, says that a proceeding starts with issue of DRC 01. If I ask you to show cause and based on that show cause you give me a reply and an order in original that we referred to earlier gets passed, that is a proceeding. And it brilliantly sums everything up. I mean, it's seriously a judgment worth reading because it explains a lot of things about GST. It also says that a show cause notice cannot be improved upon. And it says the reason why a DRC 01 show cause notice is proceeding is because it gives you a determinate outcome. Even if it is dropped, it may be possible that after seeing everything, the authority may decide that there is no reason to raise any demand because there is no fraud, because there is no short payment. But there is a determination, either to proceed or not. So that is why the issue of show cause is what raises the proceeding. And then they also go into subject matter. And subject matter is very important because 6.2b says subject matter of the proceeding should be the same. So if for a period the state has taken out proceedings regarding transaction A, and on the other hand, if center has taken out proceedings against transaction B, they are allowed to assess it.
Okay.
They just both cannot assess transaction A.
Point well taken.
Or transaction B. So no one's hands are tied, very honestly. It's a great judgment. So it works out very well.
Point very well taken. Now we go to the another topic of provisional attachment. We hear it, PAOs, we hear all the time that there is a provisional attachment order given. Do you reflect on that?
Yeah.
How is it being done? And in any suggestions you have on that process as well?
Correct. So provisional attachment under the GST is not like, say, provisional attachment under the PMLA, right? Where provisional attachment happens basically when PMLA proceedings are started, ED has a reason to believe. Now, what is required in the case of GST for provisional attachment is that the commissioner who is carrying on that attachment should form an opinion that that attachment is required to protect the interest of the revenue. So the idea is if there is a fly-by-night operator, if a large fraud is being taken, if people are seeing that the money is being, siphoned off, provisional attachment can only happen when there are proceedings under, say, a summon is issued or a search and seizure has happened and assessment is going on. Once the assessment is completed, provisional attachment will lapse.
Okay, that's all.
That's why it is provisional.
It's interim.
Yes, it is to make sure that at the end of the assessment, something remains.
Got your point. So they are securing their interest.
Yes, they are securing their interest. Unfortunately, what happens is that, provisional attachment can only happen for 1 year. Now, what happens is sometimes when the 1 year gets over, the entire assessment is not over.
So it gets automatically extended?
No, the commissioner has to issues a new one. Now, even that is hotly litigated. When the statute says you can do it for 1 year, how can you just issue new provisional attachment orders again and again? So, in this case, luckily Supreme Court's again shed light on it, right? Radhakrishnan Industries judgment was there by Justice Chandrachud and Justice M.R. Shah. It explains the most basic fact that troubles the industry today. If my bank accounts are frozen, Tarun, my business is finished.
That you're right. You can't do business.
I can't do anything. Can't pay salaries. I cannot pay my light bill.
Everything collapses.
I cannot pay my income tax.
Right.
But why go that far? If I have an order under GST to appeal under GST, I have to pay 10% pre-deposit of the demand.
No money for that.
How do I pay that money?
Fair point. Yeah.
I have no money for anything.
Yes.
My business comes to a standstill.
Yes.
And here is the deal. The final determination has not even been done. It could be the assessment is done or the proceedings may be dropped. So basically, Radhakrishnan Industries says that this provision is a very draconian provision.
Right.
So the safeguard has to be strictly followed.
What is the safeguard?
Now we come to the interesting part. The form that is to be issued by the commissioner is DRC 22.
Okay.
There is a format and it goes to the bank, etc. He doesn't have to inform you first that he is doing provisional attachment. Because otherwise, if you are a fly-by-night operator, you will fly before he attaches.
Fair point.
Right? So he will provisionally attach. Once he is provisionally attached, you then can object to that attachment.
Okay. Okay.
Once I object to that attachment, the commissioner has to basically give me a right to be heard, give me a hearing, and then pass an order either lifting the attachment as no longer required or keeping it on. But it has to be a reasoned order.
Right.
Now, the Bombay High Court and a couple of other high courts have also held that not only does the provisional attachment should be made, but the opinion based on which the attachment is made should also be given to the taxpayer, because if I have to object, I should know why the attachment is happening.
Fair point.
Because the form is issued to the bank or to some other authority, may not have come to me. So you have to give me the opinion so that I can reply to it. But this procedure has to be done and this objection has to be raised early. The problem I see with this, Tarun, and according to me that's a very grave problem, there is no time limit specified in the act in how much time the commissioner has to dispose of this objection.
Fair point. So basically he can prolong it for
if he
desires.
Wants, or if he's busy otherwise, or
So
it could
do
happen.
you think the law should prescribe a time limit?
I think the law should prescribe.
So that's again a part of the amendments that you are saying should be considered by the...
Yes, it will happen in the rules. The rules will have to be amended, not necessarily the act itself. The rules will have to be amended saying that reasonable time, 1 month, 2 months, 40 days, 30 days, because the entire provisional attachment is 1 year.
Fair point.
And remember, once my accounts are frozen, my salary stops. I cannot pay my suppliers.
So you mean it's basically you're crushing him with one order. You're basically bringing his whole business to a standstill.
You're bringing his life to a standstill.
Right.
I cannot pay my banks back. A lot of, obviously, businesses have loans. Now, the cascading effect, you just think about it, right? You can have defaults because you have the money in your bank, but it's frozen. You cannot pay it back.
Fair point.
There are so many.
So you mean this is a very serious issue. It should be considered in all seriousness. It's not something that can be considered at a later date.
Correct.
This is something which should be seen today.
Yes, and this is not what you and I are saying. Supreme Court has said it's a draconian provision and safeguards.
The Supreme Court has nudged the executive to act.
I wouldn't say nudge the executive to act, but there should be
They have highlighted it.
some reasonable time under which those objections need to be disposed of.
Fair point. Now we'll go to the final point of today's discussion is the GST tribunal, which was a long way coming. Finally, it is here. What is the way forward? What are you foreseeing for the GST tribunal? How is it emerging?
See, we will get to know how exactly the tribunal is functioning once all the benches, everything is going at
So, I
full
mean, it's
swing.
not pan-India as yet.
It is on its way. The rollout has happened. Notifications are coming as early as like last week about how the e-filing needs to be done. All these things are being done. We are on, we are going to see a huge change now because the tribunal will actually be adjudicating on all the matters, right? Because earlier what used to happen was because there was no appellate forum, you had to go to the High Court in a writ. Then, cognizant of the fact that this is happening, the board came out with a circular saying that, what is required for the appeal is 10% more deposit. Okay, you make that deposit and you give us an undertaking that you will make an appeal and we'll stay our hand. And then once the tribunal comes, you file your appeal.
But tell me one thing, just for the normal viewer, if his case is going on in High Court, that continues.
No. The High Court is not, the High Court in a writ petition does not go into disputed facts. It goes into the greater point of law, right? So, the factual aspect was never going to be adjudicated by the High Court.
Okay.
The factual adjudication can only happen at the tribunal.
So, now it will go to tribunal. These cases will all head for tribunal.
These will all head to the tribunal as they always should have. A lot of High Courts have done what? They have said, you stay the demand, and when the tribunal comes, it will take it over.
But are you seeing enough manpower in the GST tribunal? There is enough human resource available?
I think the government is going to do a fantastic job out here because you see year on year growth in GST revenues, right?
So they wanted disposals to be faster.
Yes, and it is the policy that the entire point of GST is ease of doing business. There were some hiccups. It took some time coming. There were some technical issues that needed to be done. Now they are out and now the rollout is fast. See, there was a certain amount of
lag.
Yes, but now the rollout is extremely fast, and I think that will change the game because it will help to help the development of the law. Because it is not just the words in the act, that decide how a case swings. It also depends on facts. And cases of fraud, that is section 74, they are very factual. They require an in-depth analysis of the evidence, right? So, like for example, if you say that I have purchased goods from you, right? And I need to prove that I purchased goods from you, I should be able to show those e-way bills, I should be able to show transport, should be able to show my stock statements, should be able to show your stock statements, etc. Right? This is a simple example. There's a lot of material that needs to be considered. issues of classification, a lot of things will come in, and it will finally get decided by the tribunal. And I think it's going to be the game changer. And we are seeing amazing changes in GST, right? There's just been rate rationalization that has happened. And I think this is the year of GST because, so many changes are
happening in GST.
Yes, I think
we're going to take up that also shortly. But it was an interesting interaction with you, Aditya, today on different aspects of GST. We should continue this conversation in future because I think this is a law which needs to constantly evolve.
Correct.
There are issues with the times and they will be addressed. Parliament addresses them. There is demand by the industry. I think associations are also fairly vocal on this topic as and when they face issues. I think we'd have ample opportunity to take this. But you're very, very concise and clear. Thank you for sharing these points with us. And hopefully, viewers, you also sort of got a light into these 3-4 issues or total 6 issues that we took up today. On the next show on this topic, of course, a lot more. But thank you, Aditya, for your time. And thank you, viewers, for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tarun, for this.
Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the Newsx YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.